"You're being paranoid, Dad." That's what my daughter said when I called her from the emergency room. Third-degree burns covering both my forearms. Blisters the size of quarters running up my calves where I'd brushed against the new plantings. The doctor had just finished telling me it was the worst case of urushiol poisoning he'd seen in 20 years. I asked Linda why she'd told Ramon to plant poison oak along my morning path. She laughed. Actually laughed. "We didn't tell him to plant poison oak. We told him to plant native ground cover. How are we supposed to know you're too senile to recognize a toxic plant?" The thing is, I'm not senile. And Ramon's been my landscaper for 12 years. He knows every plant on this property. He'd never make that mistake. Not unless someone convinced him it was what I wanted. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are now. I'm 72 years old, built a career as a civil engineer. Designed the water treatment facility that serves this entire county. My wife Margaret died 4 years ago. Pancreatic cancer, 6 weeks from diagnosis to funeral. We'd been married 49 years. The house we built together sits on 3 acres in the hills outside Riverside. Margaret planned every garden bed, every walking path, every tree. Our daughter Linda married a real estate developer named Todd Brennan. They live 20 minutes away in one of those planned communities where every house looks the same. 2 kids, Ashley and Connor, 12 and 14. Nice kids. Used to be, anyway. Before Todd started using them as leverage. The poison oak incident happened 3 weeks ago. Tuesday morning, May 16th. I remember because it was Margaret's birthday. I always walk the property on her birthday. Same route we used to take together. Down through the oak grove, around the pond, back up through the garden beds she designed. New plants along the north path. Low-growing, reddish stems, leaves in clusters of 3. I noticed them. Thought Ramon had planted some native berry bushes Margaret had always wanted. Walked right through them. Brushed my hand against the leaves to feel the texture. By that evening, my arms were on fire. By midnight, I couldn't sleep. By 4 a.m., I was in the ER. Dr. Harris, young guy, maybe 40, took one look and called in a dermatology consult. "Mr. Sullivan, this is severe contact dermatitis from urushiol. That's the oil in poison oak. Were you hiking somewhere new?" "No, my own property, along my morning path." He frowned. "You have poison oak on your property?" "Not until 3 days ago. That's when I called Linda. She was my emergency contact. Had been since Margaret died. She showed up an hour later with Todd. I was on IV Benadryl and prednisone, arms wrapped in gauze." "Dad, what happened?" Linda looked concerned. For about 5 seconds. "Someone planted poison oak along my walking path." Todd crossed his arms, leaned against the wall like he owned it. "That's ridiculous." "Ramon was here Friday. New plantings went in Saturday. I walked through them Tuesday morning." "Ramon's been your landscaper for what, 10 years?" Linda used her patient voice. The one that made me feel like I was the confused one. 12 years. "Right, 12 years. So why would he suddenly plant poison oak?" "I don't think it was his idea." Linda glanced at Todd. Something passed between them. Quick, but I saw it. "Dad, you're being paranoid." That's when she laughed. When I asked her directly if she'd told Ramon to plant it. The laugh that said I was losing my mind. Todd stepped forward. "Frank, listen. Linda's worried about you. We both are. Living alone out here on 3 acres. At your age. This just proves you're not safe." "I'm safe." "Or I was until someone planted poison oak on my property. You probably planted it yourself and forgot." Linda again. Softer now. Concerned daughter routine. "Dad, this isn't the first time you've been confused." "I'm not confused. Last month you called me 3 times asking if I'd moved your tools." "Because someone had moved my tools. Or you moved them and forgot where you put them." She sat down on the edge of the bed, put her hand on mine, right on the gauze. I flinched. "Dad, we need to talk about your living situation." There it was, the real reason they'd come. Todd pulled out his phone. Started scrolling. "There's a great facility in Moreno Valley. Assisted living. They have memory care units for when you need more support. I don't need support. I need to know who told my landscaper to plant poison oak on my property. No one told your landscaper anything. Linda stood up, irritation replacing concern. You're 72 years old, living alone, clearly having memory issues. This incident just proves it. Dr. Harris chose that moment to come back in. Mr. Sullivan, the good news is we've got the reaction under control. You'll need to stay on prednisone for 2 weeks and keep those areas covered and clean. The bad news is you'll be dealing with scarring. Urushiol burns don't heal cleanly at your age. How bad is the scarring? Todd asked, like he cared. Permanent on the forearms where the exposure was most severe. The calves should heal better, but there'll be discoloration. Permanent. Linda repeated it. Looked at Todd. Dad, you could have died. It's poison oak, not cyanide. Severe urushiol poisoning can actually be quite dangerous, Dr. Harris said. Helpful guy. Especially in elderly patients with compromised immune systems. If it had affected his respiratory system, we'd be looking at a very different situation. Linda grabbed that like a lifeline. See? You could have died, walking around your own property. This isn't safe, Dad. I was released 6 hours later. Linda drove me home. Todd followed in his Escalade. They both came inside. The house was exactly as I'd left it that morning. Coffee cup in the sink. Newspaper folded on the kitchen table. Margaret's reading chair by the window empty like it had been for 4 years. Linda walked through the house like she was cataloging inventory. Opened the refrigerator, checked the bathroom, looked in the bedroom. Dad, when's the last time you changed your sheets? Sunday. It's Wednesday. I changed them Sunday, 3 days ago. She pulled back the comforter. The sheets were clean. I'd washed them myself. She looked disappointed. Todd was outside on the deck, on his phone. I watched him through the kitchen window. He was taking pictures of the house, of the property, of the pond and the oak grove and the garden beds Margaret had designed. What's Todd doing? Linda came back into the kitchen. Just looking around. Dad, we really need to talk about this house. What about it? It's too much for you. 3 acres. All this maintenance, the expense. Ramon handles the landscaping. I handle the rest. You're 72. So you can't keep this up forever. The property taxes alone are what, $6,000 a year? $7,200. Right, $7,000, plus insurance, utilities, maintenance. You're on a fixed income. I'm fine. For now. But what about next year, 5 years from now? Dad, this house is worth at least $600,000, probably more. That's equity just sitting here while you struggle to pay property taxes. There it was, the real conversation. I'm not struggling. But you could liquidate this asset, move somewhere manageable, have money in the bank for care when you need it. I don't need care. You needed an ER visit this morning because you walked through poison oak on your own property. Her voice got sharper, impatient. Dad, be realistic. Todd came back inside. Beautiful property, Frank. Really beautiful. Linda and I were just saying a developer could do something amazing with this land. 3 acres, existing structure, views of the valley. We're talking probably $750,000, maybe $800,000 in the current market. I'm not selling. We're not saying sell today. Linda used her reasonable voice. We're saying think about it. Plan ahead. Be smart. The house stays in the family. That's what Margaret and I agreed. Great. Perfect. We are family. Todd smiled. Real estate agent smile. All teeth. Linda and I would be happy to take it off your hands. Keep it in the family like you want. We'd pay fair market value, obviously. You want to buy my house. We want to help you transition to something more appropriate for your stage of life. And make a profit when you flip it. Todd's smile didn't move. That's not what this is about. Isn't it? Linda stepped between us. Dad, stop. We're trying to help you. You were just in the emergency room. You have permanent scarring from poison oak that somehow ended up on your property. You're living alone in a house that's too big for you. We're offering a solution. I don't need a solution. I need to know who told Ramon to plant poison oak. No one told Ramon anything. She was yelling now, done with the patient voice. You're being paranoid and ridiculous, and frankly, Dad, it's concerning. Maybe we should have Dr. Harris refer you to a neurologist. My brain is fine. Then explain to me why you think someone sabotaged your own property. I couldn't. Not with proof. Not yet. They left 20 minutes later. Linda hugged me on the way out. We love you, Dad. We're just worried. Think about what we said, okay? I thought about it. Thought about a lot of things. First thing I thought about was money. How much I'd given them over the years. Started adding it up in my head. Then I pulled out my banking records to make sure I got it right. Down payment on their house. That was 15 years ago. Linda was 28. Todd was 31. They'd found a place in that new development off the 91. 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, 2,000 square feet. Asked if I could help with the down payment. Just $20,000, Dad. We'll pay you back. $25,000 is what I gave them. They never mentioned paying it back again. Wedding before that. Linda wanted a big ceremony. Margaret and I paid for most of it. Venue, catering, flowers, photographer. Todd's family paid for the bar and the DJ. Our bill came to $38,000. Margaret tried to talk Linda into something smaller. She wanted the big wedding. We wanted her happy. Connor was born 2 years after the wedding. Premature, 8 weeks in the NICU. Their insurance covered most of it, but there were gaps. Equipment they needed at home. Special formula. Co-pays for specialists. Linda called every week with a new expense. I sent what she asked for. Stopped counting after $15,000. Ashley came 3 years later. Easier birth, but Todd's construction company was struggling. One of those economic downturns that hit developers hard. Could you help with the mortgage for a few months, Dad? Just until we get back on our feet. I paid their mortgage for 7 months. $3,000 a month, $21,000 total. Then there were the smaller things. The car repair when Todd totaled the Audi. $4,000. The emergency root canal that wasn't covered by insurance. $1,800. Ashley's braces. $5,000. Connor's hockey equipment and league fees. $3,000 a year for 4 years. The investment opportunity in Todd's commercial project that went nowhere. $40,000. I had a spreadsheet. Didn't mean to create one. Just wanted to track the loan so I'd know when they'd paid me back. Opened it now. Excel file saved on my desktop. LindaSupport.xsx. Total. $173,800 over 15 years, some of it in the first few years of their marriage, most of it in the last decade. None of it paid back. I'd never asked them to pay it back, not directly. A few times I'd mentioned maybe they could start repaying the bigger loans when things got stable. Linda always said they were planning to, soon. When Todd's next development closed. When she got her promotion. When things settled down. Things never settled down. And it wasn't just money, time, energy, availability. Watched Ashley and Connor 43 times last year. I counted them too. Had them marked on my calendar because Linda would text an hour before she needed me. Sometimes less. Emergency at work. Can you grab the kids? Todd and I need a date night. Can they come to you? Connor has hockey practice at 6. Can you take him? I always said yes. Canceled plans with my Thursday poker group 6 times. Missed the memorial service for Bill Henderson, my old colleague from the water district, because Linda called at the last minute needing childcare. Never got a thank you. Not after the first few times. Eventually, it just became expected. Grandpa's free on Thursdays. Grandpa doesn't have plans. Grandpa's always available. After Margaret died, they didn't ask anymore. Just assumed. Bringing the kids over at 4. Not asking. Telling. Linda visited 16 times last year. I counted those too. Birthdays, holidays, the random Tuesday she needed something from the garage. Average visit length, 47 minutes. I know because I tracked it without meaning to. Started noticing how often I'd barely finish making coffee before she was checking her phone, telling the kids to get their things, saying they had to go. Phone calls were worse. She'd call maybe once a week. Always started the same way. Hey, Dad, quick question. Never just calling to talk. Always needing something. Could I watch the kids? Could I lend them money? Could I look at Todd's construction estimates because he trusted my engineering background? Could I help them with their taxes? Could I co-sign a loan? I said yes to all of it, every time. Because she was my daughter. Because Margaret would have wanted me to help. Because I kept thinking eventually it would balance out. Eventually I'd need help and they'd be there. Tuesday morning in the ER, I'd called Linda. Emergency contact. She'd shown up an hour later and immediately started talking about selling the house. That's when I knew. They weren't coming because I was hurt. They were coming because it was an opportunity. Poison oak didn't plant itself. I sat at my kitchen table, the one I'd built from white oak in my workshop 30 years ago, and pulled out my phone. Called Ramon. He answered on the second ring. "Mr. Sullivan, how are you? Linda told me you were in the hospital." "Linda called you?" "Yesterday. Said you had a bad reaction to the new plantings." "I'm so sorry. I should have checked with you before adding those ground covers." "Ramon, I need you to tell me the truth. Who told you to plant those?" Silence on the other end, long enough that I thought he'd hung up. "Ramon?" "Mr. Sullivan, He stopped, started again. "Linda called me 2 weeks ago. Said you'd asked for native ground cover along the north path. Said you'd specifically requested poison oak because you wanted to attract wildlife." "I never said that." "I know." His voice got quiet. "I should have called you to confirm. I knew it was strange. You've never wanted poison oak on the property. Mrs. Sullivan always made sure we cleared it. But Linda was very specific. Said you'd researched it. Said it was good for local birds. Linda told you to plant poison oak." "Yes." "And you believed her." "Mr. Sullivan, I'm so sorry. She's your daughter. She said you'd asked for it. She said you'd gotten interested in native plants after Mrs. Sullivan passed." "It seemed..." He trailed off. "I should have confirmed with you. This is my fault." "It's not your fault, Ramon." But it wasn't entirely his fault either. Linda had lied to him, used his trust in her, used his assumption that a daughter wouldn't sabotage her own father. "Did she pay you for the work?" "No. She said to add it to your monthly bill, like always." "Of course she did. Made me pay for my own poisoning." "Ramon, I need you to do something for me. Document everything. The date Linda called you, what she said. Text it to me." "Mr. Sullivan, please. I need proof of what happened." He sent the text 30 minutes later. Screenshots of Linda's call log. A detailed email he'd sent to himself the day after her call, documenting what she'd requested. Time-stamped photos of him planting the poison oak along the north path. Proof. I saved everything. Backed it up to 3 different places. Cloud storage, external drive. Printed copies in my fire safe. Then I called my lawyer. Bernard Pierce had been handling my legal work for 23 years. Real estate transactions, Margaret's estate planning, the trust we'd set up. He was 68, semi-retired, but still took calls from his old clients. "Frank, how are you? I heard you had a medical incident." "Who told you that?" "Linda called yesterday. Said you'd been in the ER. She wanted to know about your estate planning documents." My hand tightened on the phone. "What did she ask?" "Whether you had a power of attorney, whether she was listed, whether your assets were in a trust or would go through probate." He paused. "I didn't tell her anything. Client confidentiality. But Frank, I have to ask, are you all right?" "No." I told him everything. The poison oak, the ER visit, Linda and Todd showing up to talk about selling the house, Ramon's confession that Linda had requested the plantings, her call to Bernard asking about my estate documents. "Frank, this is serious. If Linda deliberately caused you physical harm to make you appear incompetent, that's elder abuse. Potentially criminal. Can you prove it?" "I have proof she told Ramon to plant it. I have proof Ramon told her I never requested it. I have medical records showing the severity of my injuries." "That's a start. But her lawyers will say she didn't know it was poison oak. She'll say she asked for native ground cover and Ramon made a mistake." Ramon has a screenshot of her call log and an email documenting that she specifically requested poison oak. Bernard whistled. "Send me everything. I want to review it. In the meantime, Frank, you need to protect yourself, both legally and physically." "How?" "First, I want you to get a cognitive evaluation. Full neurological workup. Document that you're competent. If Linda tries to claim you're mentally declining, we'll have recent evidence that you're fine. Done. What else? Change your locks. All of them. Linda and Todd probably have keys to your house. They did. I'd given Linda a spare set when Margaret was sick, in case of emergency. Change your emergency contact information. Linda shouldn't have that access anymore. Who do I put? Me, your financial advisor. Anyone you trust who isn't trying to force you to sell your house. Okay. And Frank? Don't confront them yet. Not until we have everything documented. If Linda thinks you're building a case, she'll escalate. She escalated anyway. Thursday morning, my phone rang. Number I didn't recognize. Mr. Sullivan? This is Patricia Hendricks from Riverside Adult Protective Services. We received a report that you may be in need of assistance. My jaw clenched. Who filed the report? I can't share that information. But the complaint stated that you're living alone, experiencing memory loss, and recently had a medical emergency resulting from inability to identify toxic plants on your property. I can identify toxic plants. Someone else planted them without my knowledge. I understand. This is just a welfare check, Mr. Sullivan. Standard procedure. I'd like to schedule a home visit to assess your living situation. I wanted to tell her where to go, but Bernard had warned me this might happen. Cooperate. Document everything. Show them you're fine. When? Would Monday work? Around 10 a.m.? Monday morning, Patricia Hendricks showed up in a county sedan. Mid-50s, professional, carrying a tablet and a file folder. I had spent the weekend cleaning. Not that the house was dirty, but I wanted everything perfect. She walked through every room, asked questions about my daily routine, checked the refrigerator, the bathroom, my medications, asked if I had family nearby. My daughter Linda and her family live 20 minutes away. Do you see them often? She visited 16 times last year. Patricia wrote something on her tablet. And does she help you with household tasks, medical appointments, shopping? I handle those myself. The report mentioned you had a recent ER visit. I did. Severe contact dermatitis from poison oak. Someone planted it on my property without my knowledge. Someone. My daughter told my landscaper to plant it. She told him I'd requested it. I didn't. Patricia's expression didn't change. Mr. Sullivan, do you have documentation of that? I showed her everything. Ramon's texts, the photos, the timeline. Dr. Harris's medical report showing the severity of the burns. She read it all, took her time, finally looked up. Mr. Sullivan, if what you're telling me is true, this is a serious allegation. You're saying your daughter deliberately caused you physical harm. Yes. Why would she do that? She wants me to sell my house. Her husband's a real estate developer. They showed up at the ER and immediately started talking about me moving to assisted living and liquidating my assets. I see. She made more notes. Mr. Sullivan, I need to ask you some questions about your cognitive function. This is standard procedure for all welfare checks. She ran through a series of tests. Memory, problem solving, spatial awareness. Asked me to name the current president, the date, what year I was born. Asked me to count backward from 100 by sevens. Asked me to draw a clock showing 3:15. I answered everything correctly. She checked my responses against some kind of scoring system. Mr. Sullivan, you're scoring well within normal range for your age. I don't see any evidence of cognitive decline. She closed her tablet. However, I am concerned about the family dynamics you've described. Would you be willing to speak with a social worker about resources for family mediation? No. All right. I'll document that you're living independently, maintaining your home, and show no signs of needing assistance. The case will be closed. She stood up, handed me her card. But Mr. Sullivan, if you're serious about these allegations against your daughter, you should consider filing a police report. She left. I sat in my kitchen for 20 minutes staring at her card. Then I called Bernard. She filed an APS report. They just finished the home visit. I passed. Good. Did you tell them about the poison oak? Yes. Showed them all the documentation. The caseworker said I should file a police report. Not yet. Let's get your cognitive evaluation done first. Then we have all our evidence in order before we go to the police. Cognitive evaluation was scheduled for Wednesday. Dr. Susan Chen, no relation to anyone relevant, was a neuropsychologist who did capacity assessments. Bernard had recommended her. 3 hours of testing: memory, executive function, processing speed, language, visual spatial skills. She gave me puzzles, asked me to remember word lists, tested my reaction time, had me draw complex figures from memory. At the end, she sat down across from me with her scoring sheets. "Mr. Sullivan, you're scoring in the 75th percentile for your age group across all domains. Your memory is excellent. Your executive function is strong. I see no evidence whatsoever of cognitive decline or impairment. You're sharper than most 70-year-olds I assess. Can you document that?" "Of course. I'll have a full report ready by Friday. Is there a reason you need this evaluation?" "My daughter's trying to claim I'm incompetent." Dr. Chen's expression hardened. "Based on this assessment, she has no grounds for that claim. None. If she persists, this evaluation will serve as strong evidence of your capacity." The report arrived Friday. 10 pages. Dense medical language. But the conclusion was clear. Frank Sullivan demonstrates full cognitive capacity and decision-making ability appropriate for his age. No evidence of dementia, impairment, or incompetence. I sent a copy to Bernard. Locked the original in my fire safe with the rest of the documentation. That weekend, Linda called. "Dad, we need to talk." "About what?" "About the APS visit. About you telling them I tried to poison you. About you getting a lawyer." I sat down. How did she know about Bernard? "Dad, you're making this so much harder than it needs to be. We're trying to help you." "By planting poison oak on my property?" "I didn't plant poison oak. I asked Ramon to plant native ground cover. If he made a mistake, that's not on me. He has documentation that you specifically requested poison oak." Silence. Then, "Dad, you're being ridiculous. I would never hurt you. The fact that you think I would just proves you're not thinking clearly." "I'm thinking perfectly clearly." "Then why are you getting cognitive evaluations? Why are you talking to lawyers? Why are you accusing your own daughter of elder abuse?" "Because you filed a false APS report. Because you told my landscaper to plant poison oak on my property. Because you showed up at the ER and immediately started pressuring me to sell my house." "We suggested you consider your options." Her voice got louder. "That's not pressure. That's responsible family planning. You want to buy my house at fair market value and flip it for a profit. We want to help you transition to appropriate care before you hurt yourself. The poison oak incident proves you can't live alone safely. The poison oak incident proves you're willing to hurt me to get what you want." "Jesus Christ, Dad. Do you hear yourself? You sound paranoid, delusional. This is exactly why we're worried about you." "I have proof, Linda." "Proof of what? That your landscaper made a mistake? That you walked through plants without looking? That you're 72 years old and living alone in a house you can't maintain? Proof that you lied to Ramon. Proof that you called Bernard asking about my estate documents. Proof that you filed a false APS report." Another silence. Longer this time. "Dad, you should really think carefully about what you're accusing me of. I'm your daughter. I'm trying to help you. If you start making wild accusations, people are going to think you've lost it. They're going to think you need a conservatorship." There it was. The real threat. "Is that where this is going, Linda? You can't convince me to sell voluntarily, so you'll try to get a conservatorship?" "I didn't say that. You just implied it. I'm saying you're acting irrationally, making accusations against your own family, pushing away the people who care about you. That's concerning behavior, Dad. That's the kind of thing that might make someone question your capacity." My hand tightened on the phone. Voice stayed level. "I just had a cognitive evaluation done by Dr. Susan Chen. Scored in the 75th percentile across all domains, full capacity, no impairment. The evaluation's dated 3 days ago." Silence again. I could practically hear her recalculating. "Well, good. I'm glad you're okay." Her tone shifted. Lighter, less aggressive. Dad, I think we got off on the wrong foot here. Let's start over. Why don't you come to dinner Sunday? We can talk about this calmly. No. Dad, I'm not coming to dinner. I'm not selling my house, and I'm changing my locks. You're changing your locks? Yes. Because you think your own daughter is going to break in? Because you've already proven you're willing to hurt me. I'm taking precautions. Fine. Change your locks. Push your family away. But don't come crying to us when you fall and can't get up. When you have another medical emergency and no one's there to help. When you're alone in that house with no one who cares. Goodbye, Linda. I hung up, hands shaking. Not from fear, from rage. She'd threatened me. Implied she'd let me suffer if I didn't comply. Said no one would be there to help. The woman I'd given $173,000 to. The daughter whose mortgage I'd paid for 7 months. Who I'd watched her kids for 43 times last year. I called the locksmith Monday morning. He changed every lock. Front door, back door, garage, side gate. New keys. I gave one spare to Bernard. That was it. Tuesday morning I found spray paint on my driveway. Big red letters. 2 feet tall. Elder abuser. My neighbor, Helen, saw it when she drove by. Knocked on my door at 7:30. Frank, what happened? Who wrote that? My daughter. Helen's eyes widened. Linda did this? Or had someone do it? Why would she? Frank, what's going on? I told her. The whole thing. The poison oak, the ER visit, Linda's pressure to sell the house, the APS report, the threats. Helen listened to everything. When I finished, her jaw was tight. That girl always was entitled. Margaret used to say Linda expected the world to arrange itself around her. Helen shook her head. What are you going to do? Document it. Add it to the file. Call the police if it happens again. It's vandalism. You should call them now. Bernard wants me to wait until we have everything compiled. One big case instead of a dozen small incidents. Meanwhile, Linda's escalating. She was. The spray paint was just the start. Wednesday, my trash cans were knocked over. Thursday, someone cut my phone line. Friday, I found a dead rat on my front porch. Saturday morning, a sheriff's deputy showed up at my door. Mr. Sullivan, I'm Deputy Martinez. We received a report that you're experiencing a mental health crisis and may be a danger to yourself. My jaw clenched. Who filed the report? Anonymous tip. Caller said you'd been making delusional accusations against your family and talking about harming yourself. I have never talked about harming myself. I still need to do a welfare check. Standard procedure. Can I come in? I let him in. Showed him the documentation, the poison oak evidence, the APS report, and my cognitive evaluation. The photos of the spray-painted driveway, the cut phone line, the rat on my porch. Deputy, my daughter is harassing me because I won't sell my house. She's filing false reports trying to make me look incompetent. I'm not in crisis. I'm being systematically targeted. Martinez looked at everything. Read Dr. Chen's evaluation carefully. Finally looked up. Mr. Sullivan, I can see you've been thorough in documenting these incidents. Have you filed a police report? Not yet. My lawyer advised waiting until we have everything compiled. I'd recommend filing sooner rather than later. Establish a record. If your daughter is doing this, you want a paper trail. He closed his notepad. I'll document that I found you alert, oriented, and in no danger to yourself. The mental health crisis call was unfounded. But sir, seriously, file a report. This is harassment at minimum, possibly elder abuse. He left. I called Bernard. They're escalating. Deputy just left. Someone called in a fake mental health crisis. File a police report, today. I'll meet you at the station. Riverside Police Department. Detective Sarah Park took my statement. I brought everything. The documentation, the medical records, the cognitive evaluation, photos of the vandalism, Ramon's texts, the timeline of incidents. She read through it all. 43 pages of evidence. When she finished, she looked up. Mr. Sullivan, this is one of the most well-documented elder abuse cases I've seen. Most victims don't have anywhere near this level of proof. She tapped the cognitive evaluation. This especially. If your daughter tries to claim you're incompetent, this kills that argument. What happens now? I'll open an investigation. I'll need to interview Linda and Todd, Ramon, the APS caseworker, Dr. Harris. I'll document all the harassment incidents. Then I'll present the case to the DA and recommend charges. What charges? Elder abuse, criminal harassment, filing false reports, possibly assault given the severity of your injuries from the poison oak. She closed the file. Mr. Sullivan, I have to warn you, this is going to get ugly. She's your daughter. If we press charges, this destroys your relationship permanently. She destroyed it when she poisoned me. Fair enough. I'll be in touch. That was 3 weeks ago. Detective Park interviewed Linda yesterday. I wasn't there, but Linda called me immediately after. You called the police on me. Your own daughter. You're actually trying to have me arrested. You poisoned me, vandalized my property, filed false reports. What did you think I'd do? I think you've lost your mind. I think you're a bitter old man who can't stand that I'm trying to help you. And I think when this is over, you're going to die alone in that house with no one who gives a damn. Is that a threat? It's a fact. You're pushing everyone away. Ashley and Connor ask about you. I tell them Grandpa's not well, that he's saying mean things about Mommy, that they shouldn't see him right now. You want to know how long before they stop asking? My chest tightened. The kids. I hadn't thought about how this would affect them. Linda, no. You don't get to use their names now. You made your choice. You chose your house over your family. You chose your paranoid delusions over your daughter. Fine, live with it. But don't expect us to be there when you need us. Don't expect us to come to your funeral. Don't expect anything from us ever again. She hung up. I sat there holding the phone, hands shaking, not from fear, from rage, from grief, from the realization that the daughter I'd raised, the girl Margaret had loved, was truly gone, replaced by this woman who'd poison her own father for a real estate profit. Helen came over that evening, found me on the back deck staring at Margaret's garden. Frank, you okay? No. She sat down, didn't say anything, just sat there while I stared at the roses Margaret had planted. She's turning the grandkids against me. I know. Telling them I'm not well, that I'm saying mean things about their mother. Kids are smart, Frank. When they're older, they'll see the truth. Will they? Or will they just remember that Grandpa disappeared from their lives and Mom said he went crazy? Helen reached over, squeezed my hand. You did the right thing. She poisoned you. She could have killed you. You had to protect yourself. Doesn't feel right. The right thing rarely does. She stayed until dark, left me with a casserole and instructions to actually eat it. This morning, Detective Park called. Mr. Sullivan, I wanted to update you. I've completed all the interviews. The evidence is solid. I'm recommending charges to the DA, Linda Sullivan and Todd Brennan. Elder abuse, criminal harassment, filing false reports. There's also a civil case here if you want to pursue it. Civil case? Medical expenses, pain and suffering, intentional infliction of emotional distress. You'd need to talk to Bernard about that, but the criminal charges are moving forward regardless. When? DA's reviewing it now. Probably another week before they make a decision. But between you and me, with this level of documentation, they're going to prosecute. I should have felt relief, vindication, something. Instead, I just felt tired. Thursday morning, today. I'm sitting on my back deck watching the sunrise over Margaret's garden. The roses she planted are blooming, pink and white and yellow. She always said roses were hopeful. They come back every year no matter what. My phone buzzed an hour ago. Text from a number I don't recognize. This is Ashley. Mom doesn't know I have your number. Are you really sick? I stared at that text for 20 minutes before responding. No, sweetheart. I'm not sick. I'm okay. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Mom says you're saying she hurt you. Did she? How do you answer that? How do you tell a 12-year-old girl that her mother poisoned her grandfather for money? Sometimes adults have disagreements that are hard to explain. I love you. I love your brother. That hasn't changed. I miss you. Those 3 words hit harder than anything Linda had said. I miss you too. So much. Can I come see you? I don't know if your mom would allow that right now. I'm not asking her. Can I come see you? I should say no. Should tell her to talk to her mother. Should avoid making this worse. Instead, I typed, Saturday afternoon, 2 p.m. I'll make cookies. Chocolate chip? Is there any other kind? She sent a smiley face. Then, don't tell Mom. I won't. But I'm documenting this conversation too, adding it to the file. Because if Linda finds out and tries to use it against me, I want proof that Ashley reached out first. The sun's fully up now. Coffee's cold, but I'm drinking it anyway. Same mug Margaret used every morning, white ceramic with a chip on the handle from when I dropped it doing dishes 12 years ago. She kept using it. Said the chip gave it character. I should feel like I've won. The investigation's moving forward. The documentation's solid. Dr. Chen's evaluation proves I'm competent. Linda's lies are catching up to her. But all I feel is the weight of it. $173,000 and 15 years of helping. 43 nights of watching the grandkids. 16 visits that averaged 47 minutes. All of it reduced to police reports and evidence files and the knowledge that my daughter would rather see me institutionalized than admit she was wrong. My phone rings. Bernard. Frank, the DA just called. They're filing charges. 3 counts elder abuse, 2 counts criminal harassment, 1 count filing a false report. Linda and Todd both named. Arraignment's scheduled for next Tuesday. Okay. Frank, this is good news. You should be relieved. I know. But you're not. She's still my daughter, Bernard, even after everything. He's quiet for a moment. I know. I'm sorry it came to this. Me too. I hang up. Sit here staring at Margaret's roses, thinking about Ashley's text, thinking about how I'll explain to a 12-year-old why her mother's being arrested, thinking about whether Connor will reach out too or if Linda's gotten to him first, thinking about how different this would be if Margaret were here. She'd know what to do. She always knew what to do. But she's not here, and I have to figure this out myself. Saturday, 2 p.m. I'll make chocolate chip cookies. Ashley will come over. We'll sit on this deck, and I'll tell her the truth. Age-appropriate truth, but truth. Maybe she'll understand. Maybe she won't. Maybe Linda will find out and escalate further. Maybe the police will have to get involved again. But Ashley said she missed me, and I'm not giving up my grandkids without a fight. Linda took my money, poisoned me, vandalized my property, tried to have me declared incompetent. But she doesn't get to take my grandchildren too. The roses Margaret planted are blooming, pink and white and yellow, coming back like they do every year, hopeful. If you like this story, please like it, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions in the comments. To listen to more stories, click on the window on the right. Thank you for being with us.